not realize that you've been here, you've been superintendent for a while. That's a lot. So it's much since I was pretty titled. What was so telling when I was hired as superintendent, people that came to support me, I have my family in the front. Now I have 6.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. I don't know if it's not working. Can you hear me?
Not through the microphones.
I
I can't hear you. I say.
Yeah. It's gonna hold it right up to it.
Always got it.
Yeah.
I know that. It's just everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Eddie Caperton, past president, filling in for Laura Manning, who is traveling. And so today, Phil LaVar will give our prayer. Terry will give our Pledge of Allegiance, and Donna Ariano will introduce guests. So, Dr. LaVar.
We should go into the spirit of prayer. Eternal God, we give you thanks for the blessings of this day, for the beautiful spring weather that we are enjoying, for this club and all the work that it does in our community. We ask your spirit to be upon us, to bless our endeavors, to bless this food, to take nourishment of our bodies, and to keep us this day in your peace. In the name of the Christ. Amen.
Thank you. This after, please be, oh, wait a minute.
We got to say pledge.
Terry.
Please place your hand over your heart and let's pledge our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Donna.
Good afternoon. For yesterday,
We can't hear you.
yesterday. As a Robinson, I was.
And I just want to say, it's very nice to see Magda Hernandez, our school superintendent, and member of this.
Thank you.
She had to introduce herself, but it was a few announcements, y'all. Our meeting next week will be, it won't be here. It will be at the Canine Companions Training Center, 7710 Las Colinas Ridge. I think everybody knows that's where Laura was, but it is right behind Baylor.
North, yeah.
And so it's normal. So we'll have lunch there, we'll have a brief meeting, and then Laura has some a program lined up for us to see how they train the dogs. So I think it's really going to be an interesting program. So no meeting here next week, will be at the Canine Companions Training Center. Does anyone have any update on the flag program, any works? Bill?
I think that we have produced enough flags, at least for the first go around. We will not have to do any more construction until after May. That changed. We'll let you know. I think we're in fairly good shape. We had our meeting there a couple of weeks ago. We had great turnout. Much surprised me the number of people that turned out, and we were pretty productive. We did about 77 flags. That's good, but I think we're in good shape. I did have, you remember Christina that used to be part of the stuff? I just saw her at the dentist's office and she's ordering a flag for the Millennium Fountain. That's the thing that Rick is trying to sell, is sponsorships for the flags for Millennium Fountain. Because that's pretty much all directly to us. Okay? That's all I'm gonna.
Thank you, sir. Kathy Howard, would you like to say a word about upcoming fish fry? And if you,
Yes, I happen to have tickets for the fish fry. May 8th, that's the second Friday in May. And it's going to be in the old part of the park. Instead of where we went last year, we're gonna go back to where we were the year before. No curbs. No curbs, all street. All street.
Kathy is making an announcement, for our Zoom viewers, Kathy's making an announcement about the Heritage Society upcoming fish fry on Friday, May 8th. Tickets are available from several of us,
Yes.
and Kathy is also in charge of the wonderful cake sale, which is always a lot of fun. So if you need tickets to the fish fry, always a great community event held at Heritage Park on Friday, May 8th. See any one of us, really. Most of
That's right.
them, we can be glad to send you.
And if you'd like to donate a cake, I'd be happy to take your name.
Kathy said we also need cake or cookie or pie donations. Thank you. Any other announcements that anyone has?
I know.
Today, we have just a wonderful program by our own Reverend Shane Kermit Webb, pastor of Woodhaven Presbyterian Church, just up the road. And he's our past president, and Pastor Shane is a champion for the many benefits that come from the great outdoors. And today, he'll speak about eco-spirituality. The wholeness of body, mind, and soul. Pastor Shane. Pastor Shane will be followed by Jim Klein leading the four-way team.
Excellent. You guys know better than to give me a microphone and an audience, so don't say you weren't warned.
Preach it, brother.
Yes,
How many conversions?
just like if I did run one dance today, you're welcome. I had plans for a kilns with my green Dog Martins, but my closet collapsed and a fellow Rotarian is in my closet fixing the mess. Jeff Covers making sure my clothes can hang again. So he's sorry he's not here. But I had to get one container for today. So in case you were wondering. But I did intend to come and dress. Sorry to let y'all down. Well, before we get started, it is always fun to get to talk to you. I'm the backup plan for today. We were going to have some really incredible Irving High and MacArthur students come and speak. We got to hold those contests at their campuses this time. So we weren't going to need to do the judging. They were just going to showcase. But unfortunately, they're taking end of course exams today. So this didn't end up working out like we thought it might. So you're stuck with me. You know, here we are in April. It's spring. And one of the fun things about April, other than Easter, is, and Easter doesn't always happen in April, which is weird too. But we have all these natural holidays. I don't know if you guys know, but today is Save the Elephants Day. Yeah, if you don't believe me, look it up. I didn't know that until I looked it up. But in April, we always have Earth Day on April 22nd. And April 24th is Arbor Day, where we plant trees, do those kind of fun things. So the spring is right for this kind of talk. So what I want to talk to you about today is nothing new. It's kind of something that we kind of let go by the wayside, but it's as old as time. It is ancient, but in our modern and technological society, it has kind of gone to the wayside. So I'm going to advocate that we resurrect that today. So here on this beautiful spring day, I'm curious to know by show of hands. I like audience participation, so here we go. How many of you enjoy being outdoors? All right, there's no funny notes today. I'm glad for that. So yeah, you all appreciate being outdoors. I know some of you like to golf. You know, some of you go outside to walk and run and swim. Maybe you garden or play a sport. Notice I said golf and then I said play a sport. Different things in my book, but both good. And I know that some of you spend a lot of time outdoors when you're putting out those darn flags, right?
Yeah.
That's good for you. And some of my fondest childhood memories took place when I was camping with my family, with the scouts, with the church, doing wonderful activities like canoeing and playing in the mud, you know, all that fun stuff. And some of you don't know this about me, but I grew up in a trailer park in Pasadena. And so for fun, I would run around the trailer park playing in empty lots and down in the drainage ditch. And with my fellow trailer park rats, we would catch frogs and crawdads, and we had the best time ever. Little did we know that we were playing outside of a sewage plant, but that's another story. Robert, did you have a question?
You didn't specify whether it's California or Texas.
Yes, this was Pasadena, as it's affectionately known, is located in Pasadena, Texas. Yes, thank you. Another clarifying. That's also why we're those Astros that y'all love so much. But from an early age, I love being outdoors. There's something special about it. So I would dare to say that all of us would agree today that being outside is good for our physical wellness. Would you all agree to that, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good, good. We're all on the same page there.
Depends on who's chasing.
Absolutely, yes. And then, you know, we went through this thing, the pandemic, and this phrase kind of caught on that we need to get out and touch grass, right? And so then we started thinking more about how being outdoors is good for our mental well-being, right? Okay, drinking coffee on the porch in the morning, stepping outside to feel the sun or look at the night sky, or laying on the ground or maybe in a hammock for those of us that can't get on the ground anymore, are all ways that help connect us to the universe. There are many ways that getting outside can benefit the wellness of your mind. So physical wellness, mental wellness. So what if I told you these same activities also benefited your soul? Yes, so today I want to share with you the connection between faith and nature. It's like spirituality and ecology got together and had a baby. Ecospirituality. Because I believe that the creator of the universe intends for us to be out enjoying the goodness of creation. Can I get an amen? Yeah. All right. Like a good congregation. So as I've studied throughout my career world religions, I've found that almost all cultures and religions have something in their scriptures and their practices about adherence, appreciating the natural world. This is true of Hindu, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, and Christianity. Indigenous people from various cultures tend to show gratitude for creation more than our modern religions. Whether we are talking about Celtic, Aboriginal, Native Americans, Mayans, or Mongolians, they have a tendency to embed in their spiritual practices a deep care for nature. And I believe that this was also intended to be the case for Jewish and Christian practitioners as well. But it got lost along the way as we became more civilized and less nomadic. And the further we have moved from being hunting, gathering, and cultivating for ourselves, the more disconnected and removed we have become from the natural world. Y'all follow me? So spiritual well-being through connecting with nature is good for all people of all faiths, including our brothers and sisters that consider themselves to be atheists or agnostics. As someone who follows Jesus, I can best explain this eco-spirituality through the faith that I practice. But I believe the concept applies to all religions or people who follow no religion. So in the book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible, or in the Jewish tradition, the Torah, it instructs that the first peoples were to be caretakers of the land. They had the responsibility to tend to the plants and animals of the created world, to enjoy the resources and use them, but not to abuse them or misuse them. In the New Testament, I continue to be amazed with how many agricultural references that Jesus uses. He calls us to have faith like a mustard seed. And further, we hear Jesus refer to himself as the vine, as we are the branches. So have you ever wondered why Jesus was always talking about nature? Why were nature and natural things the focus of his metaphors? Why did he point out a fig tree and make it wither? Well, I believe that part of being human, which human literally means being of the ground, we're dirt people. You know, that carbon that's in just about everything is what we're made of also. Part of being human is that we are connected with other living beings. So when we try to disconnect ourselves through technology and high thinking, we remove ourselves from our original purpose as earth keepers. Now, this does have implications and connections to our climate crisis, but I'm not going to go there today. That's a talk for a whole other day. What I think is foundational and important for all of us is talking about this intersection where ecology and spirituality meet. People much, much smarter than I am have coined this as eco-spirituality. One of the first people to use this is author and theologian Leonardo from Brazil. And he's got some really cool writings that I highly recommend if you're curious about this. So I want to tell you a story about what this looks like in my own life to help you maybe draw some of your own conclusions. So in my spiritual life, I have had some of the most profound experiences with God outdoors. And there's lots of good scriptural backing for this. You know, that whole burning bush thing that happened to Moses was not inside the temple. And I have been to some amazing church camps and retreats where we spent significant time outside. And it is those experiences that made me feel like I was a little bit closer to heaven. And you guys know I love wearing kilts and I love everything Scottish and Irish. So it should be no surprise when we talk about the Celtic tradition. And in the Celtic tradition, we call those thin spaces where the spiritual realm and the earthly realm seem to touch or at least become closer. They call those the thin spaces, okay? there's a lot of thin spaces, especially outdoors, where we can connect to creation. And by doing so, connect ourselves to the creator, the maker of all things. So a personal example that I'm going to bring to y'all, and some of y'all know the story and some of y'all don't. But I had this crazy idea as a young person, as I was finishing college or high school. And before I went to college, I had no idea what I wanted to study or do with my life. I know that's surprising to y'all. I was thinking about maybe international relations, international business, maybe diplomacy. So I got the wild idea that I was going to learn Spanish, be an exchange student, because I was frustrated that I took all these years of Spanish classes. I had a lot of fun, and I even had a good-looking freshman English Spanish teacher that might have had something to do with why I like Spanish. Pray for me. But anyways, after I got my love of Spanish, I couldn't speak Spanish, and that bothered me because the whole point was I wanted to be able to converse and connect with more people. And other than short phrases, I couldn't hold the conversation. That bothered me. So I decided to learn Spanish. Well, all my Spanish teachers had studied and learned in Spain. So of course I wanted to go to Spain. Well, there was a waiting list for Spain, so I couldn't go to Spain. And so they called me and they said, look, you know, you're like 5 down on the waiting list. You're not going to go to Spain. You know, is there another country that you'd like to go to be an exchange student? I said, well, I really wanted to learn Spanish. And they said, you know, there's all these other countries that speak Spanish. And, you know, you could go to one of those. Okay. So I started thinking about it and praying. And then, you know, there's this country that I've never heard of before, or maybe I heard of it, but that's through the class. And this country called Venezuela. I think a few of you have heard about Venezuela on the news. Well, I knew nothing about it. And I decided that's where I want to go. You know, I'm going to go to this place that nobody I know has ever been to, and I'm going to see what happens. And it was one of the best decisions of my life. So very thankful that I did that. So while I'm there, I meet all these incredible people. I get to go to all these places. So if you don't know anything geographically about Venezuela, I wouldn't be surprised. But they have mountains, Andes Mountains, they have jungle, they have, you know, some of the Amazon rainforest goes through Venezuela, they have rivers, they have plains, they have deserts. You name it. Oh, I didn't mention, they have some of the most incredible beaches and some of the most beautiful people out on those beaches, just in case you were wondering. That's a thing. And they also have amazing food. So I'm going there and I'm having the experience of a lifetime. And I almost go home because I'm homesick. You know, I know this is a surprise to y'all, but you know, I get my energy from other people. And here I am in a country with no friends, no family, and come Thanksgiving time, you know, I'm like, dude, I need some people that I know that I can communicate well with, and you know, this is crushing my soul. So for a week I came home and prayed to God that either I would miraculously learn Spanish to the point where I could hold, you know, real conversations, or that I would make some friends, you know, that I could relate to. So I gave God an ultimatum. I don't recommend you doing this. I said, God, you know, if you don't do one of these 2 things in a week, I'm going home. I'm out of here. So I came home from school, high school every day, and came back to my room and just laid in bed and cried, prayed and said, God help me, I can't do this anymore. Rinse and repeat all week. Friday comes. So there had been this little guy who, you know, always wanted me to come to his English class. I told him, no, I want to go to your English class. I'm here to learn Spanish. I don't want to do that. But I said, whatever, I'm leaving anyway, so I'm going to go to your English class. So I go to his English class. I talk to these students. They're like, oh, an American, how cool. And we have a good discussion, and it's fun. So I'm glad I went and did this one nice thing before I left the country, right? Well, in the process, I got to know his English teacher. His English teacher was from Nigeria. And she heard me when they were peppering me with questions about my life and like Christian music. So after class, she's like, so are you a Christian? Yeah, why else would I be listening to Christian music, right? And so all of a sudden, I made a friend. And then she introduced me to some other teachers, and they became my friends. And they all spoke Spanish and English. So Friday came and God had answered prayer. So fast forward, so I started hanging out with these people and we do some impromptu Bible study and things together. It was real nice. Had some connections. You know, I was able to stay the rest of the year, the school year as an exchange student. Had a wonderful experience. So at the end of the year, I did this thing where they took us out into the desert, middle of nowhere. I'd never done anything like that before. And then they did the most awful thing that I could ever imagine. They said, okay, now we want you to go out there in the desert, in the dark, and sit. Y'all, I don't like silence. They had us sit there for 2 hours in the dark, in the silence. They didn't want us to read our Bible. They wanted us to just sit there and pray. And for an extrovert like myself, that's torture. I mean, you can pull my fingernails out all day. Don't make me be quiet for that long. So here I am, I'm sitting in the desert. I snuck my Bible out there, and the stars out in that desert were so bright, and the moon, that I could read my Bible in the pitch dark, which I thought was pretty rude. So I was reading the Bible, and it wasn't supposed to be. And I prayed every prayer I knew. I thought I was going to break them, and I looked to see what time it was, and 10 minutes had passed. I said, oh Lord, I'm not going to make it. So, you know, I finally shut up and just sat in silence, which is what I was supposed to do all along. And that's when I heard God's voice. I heard God tell me that I needed to be in ministry. And I turned around and I thought somebody was playing a joke on me. But the voice was in English, and none of the people even remotely close to me spoke English. You know, they did, but, you know, with an accent, and you know, this was very clear, and it wasn't the voice in my head, because I hear all kinds of voices in my head, y'all. I know this is surprising, but it wasn't that either. So there's something to it. And so here in this desert, out in nature, in this place I've never been before, never dreamed of being in my life. And it was one of those thin spaces where God was able to get me to settle down and shut up for long enough that I could listen. Right? So here we are in nature, connecting to creation and the creator. So that was just one of many experiences like that, where I've had these unexplainable connections with God through being out in nature. So I'm going to wrap this up because I'm hoping you'll have some questions. But what I want to advocate is that not only do we need to touch grass, get outside for our physical and mental well-being, but also for our souls. Our spirits need to reconnect, especially in a world of AI and technology and fast pace. We need those times to slow down and be outdoors and be still. And a lot of this is very simple. We don't have to take 2 hours to sit outside in silence. I don't recommend it. It works for some people, but it's not my thing, right? But you can take just a few seconds to step outside and appreciate what you see, the butterfly, the rain, little squirrel, even if it's you in the wire tokens. And to one of the things that our more indigenous peoples were good at was showing gratefulness and gratitude toward the natural world. And I think that's something as postmodern and industrialized people, we need to reclaim and take back for our own benefit, for our own souls. Because the more we distance ourselves, you know, we have the convenience of being able to go to the grocery store and get all of our food. We don't have to have any of the messiness of cutting open an animal and draining its blood and taking out the bones. You know, it's all done for us. You know, we're not, most of us are not growing the food we eat in our properties. And that distance from the natural world can do damage to our souls if we're not doing things to replenish that. So I want you guys to consider this as an important aspect of your wellness and health for your body, mind, and soul. So leave this place thinking about your eco-spirituality, ecology, and faith coming together. And think about how that might be able to benefit you and how you might be able to practice that in your life. Thanks all.
Questions?
Yes. Questions.
Well, I want to know if your sweet wife, Sarah, was also connected to the Ecospirituality, or did you have to have that little talk with her? How did that work?
Good question.
Details, please.
Yes, so
We love Sarah.
Sarah, my wife is wonderful. She works for the school, and loves loving on the kids. So unfortunately for me, this is still pretty new. So right now I'm doing my doctorate at the Evangelical Seminary of Puerto Rico. And this is the first time I'd ever had a class that was focused on eco-theology, ecotherapy. And I was like, what? It was ecology of the family and the world. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. I had snippets of this concept and ideas along the way. Stewardship of creation, sometimes we talk about it, but I never really, kind of put it all together as I have now. So yes and no, this has been a part of our lives, but we didn't have words to put on it yet. We didn't have this vocabulary that I've since learned. Because Sarah wasn't with me in Venezuela. I met her in college at Austin College. So that hadn't happened yet, but we did get to study abroad together in Chile and had a lot of cool experiences outside and with the local church there. And then later we were missionaries in Peru. So a lot of these themes are interwoven in our story. And now we're looking back and putting it all together. So.
And she's
Great.
bilingual too.
And she is bilingual too. Yes. Okay. Fun facts. So it took me all school year plus all the years I was learning in school, more than a full year where I was finally able to be conversational in Spanish. She went with me down to Chile for one semester, not even 4 whole months, and she was fluent. And I was furious. But it's no surprise to y'all that I married up. I married an intelligent woman on purpose.
It helps.
Yes, amen. Preach to me. So it's the smartest thing I've ever done in my life.
And she can dance. too.
And she can be, well, that's a big part of the other big reason I married her. I needed somebody who could keep up with me.
Well, she puts up with.
And she puts up with it. Yes, amen. Other questions or thoughts, comments? Does this ring true for y'all? Does this seem way out there? I have been accused of being a tree hugger before, but the tree didn't hug me back.
I think something we don't think about is sunrise and sunset. I am into the pink of that. I think it's gorgeous.
Yes.
And when you were talking, that's what I was thinking about.
Excellent. Thank you.
Have you read the book, The Maker's Diet?
I have not read The Maker's
I
Diet.
highly recommend it. It's a book about how God intended for us to eat. But part of it is about our connection with the ground, and you're harvesting, you're getting nutrients from the dirt, you're getting all this stuff. So being outside was really part of what we're supposed to be doing, but I highly recommend it.
Thank you for that recommendation. Jim?
I never heard the terminology before that you're using.
Yes, me either.
I'd also, as an Eagle Scout and engineer,
Yes.
there are no atheists. Calculus tests or on mountaintops.
Amen. Learn the foxhole. They say that too.
Yes, I heard
But
of it.
yes. And, I always remind people that, not believing in God is also faith. Because neither side can prove it. That's the whole point. Wouldn't be faith if we could prove it. Any other questions or thoughts? Thank you, friends. That was fun. Thank you for letting me back up speed.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, I've got two very important jobs. I have the four-way test. I gotta ring the bell. So anyway, that's my job. So please stand up and join me in the four-way test. Things you think, say, and do. Is this even working? I can talk louder. All right, first. Second. Third.
Will and better friendships.
And fourth.
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you, everybody. On behalf of Patty, we are adjourned.
Well, you know.
That's good.
You know.
A lot of them.
Every year they've done that. You know.
Was nice. Take care. Thank you.
No, I go to this company. So it's.
As a matter of. I have. Now, this is about, y'all.
Again, man. But with our parts, it's something. Fast back. And.
That's what I'm. Got it.
Mother.
Well, why do you bring that for vows?
Because it is Val.
Oh, it's first.
And I know they're, you know, that size and everything. She'll just be tall. He makes, Scotty.
You know.
It's about.
Yeah.
Or chair.
Have it, something. Say, oh,
And Irving.
so.
Good to see you. Oh, gosh. Yes, sir.
Oh, no big deal. It is. But thanks.
Get this